Timbavati, Part 2. The men would come home with their stories of the veld, of the family of cheetahs sitting like sentinels on their kopje, of the leopard they had spotted high in his tree larder, watching over his kill, of the hyenas they had driven off, of the herd of elephants which had stampeded the cattle, and Bertie would listen wide-eyed, agog. Again and again he asked his father if he could go with him to help guard the cattle. His father just laughed, patted his head, and said it was man's work. He did teach Bertie how to ride, and how to shoot too, but always within the confines of the compound. Week in, week out, Bertie had to stay behind his fence. He made up his mind, though, that if no one would take him out in the veld, then one day he would go by himself. But something always held him back. Perhaps it was one of those tales he'd been told of the black mamba snakes whose bite would kill you within 10 minutes, of hyenas whose jaws would crunch you to bits, of vultures who would finish off anything that was left, so that no one would ever find even the bits. For the time being he stayed behind the fence, but the more he grew up, the more his compound became a prison to him. One evening, Bertie must have been about 6 years old by now. He was sitting high up in the branches of his tree, hoping against hope that the lions might come down for their sunset drink, as they often did. He was thinking of giving up, for it would soon be too dark to see much now, when he saw a solitary lioness come down to the waterhole. Then he saw that she was not alone. Behind her and on unsteady legs came what looked like a lion cub, but it was white, glowing white in the gathering gloom of dusk. While the lioness drank, the cub played at catching her tail, and then when she had had her fill, the two of them slipped away into the long grass and were gone. Bertie ran inside, screaming with excitement. He had to tell someone, anyone. He found his father working at his desk. "Impossible," said his father. "You're seeing things that aren't there, or you're telling fibs, one of the two." "I saw him, I promise," Bertie insisted. But his father would have none of it, and sent him to his room for arguing. His mother came to see him later. "Anyone can make a mistake, Bertie dear," she said. "It must have been the sunset. It plays tricks with your eyes sometimes. There's no such thing as a white lion." The next evening Bertie watched again at the fence, but the white lion cub and the lioness did not come, nor did they next evening, nor the next. Bertie began to think he must have been dreaming it. A week or more passed, and there had been only a few zebras and wildebeest down at the waterhole. Bertie was already upstairs in his bed when he heard his father riding into the compound, and then the stamp of his heavy boots on the veranda. "We got her! We got her!" he was saying. "Huge lioness, massive she was. She's taken half a dozen of my best cattle in the last 2 weeks. Well, she won't be taking any more." Bertie's heart stopped. In that one terrible moment he knew which lioness his father was talking about. There could be no doubt about it. His white lion cub had been orphaned. But what if, Bertie's mother was saying, what if she had young ones to feed? Perhaps they were starving. "So would we be, if we let it go on. We had to shoot her," his father retorted. Bertie lay there all night listening to the plaintive, roaring echo through the veld, as if every lion in Africa was sounding a lament. He turned his face into his pillow and could think of nothing but the orphan white cub, and he promised himself, there and then, that if ever the cub came down to the waterhole looking for his dead mother, then he would do what he had never dared to do. He would open the gate and go out and bring him home. He would not let him die out there all alone. But no lion cub came to his waterhole. All day, every day, he waited for him to come, but he never came. End of chapter 3.